sisters, Namaskar. Good morning, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, those who are listening, watching from the science to spirituality, language to literature. It is really nice time, nice place, nice action that we are appreciating our holy message of our holy Indian motherland. The most honorable present Prime Minister Modi ji, respected ministers and doctors, honorable advocates, advertisers, administrators and advisors, adorable doctors, directors, respected ministers and managers. I heartily, cordially welcome all of you. आज आप सुन रहे हैं YouTube चैनल 3M रेडियो के माध्यम से भारत की अद्भुत सांस्कृतिक विरासत का धनी वो जिला, विश्व का भारत, भारत का हरियाणा, हरियाणा का सिरसा, जिसकी महिमा सभी शास्त्रों में, धर्म ग्रंथों में वर्णित है। जहां पर आए भगवान श्री राम, भगवान श्री कृष्ण, बालाजी महाराज, जहां होते हैं दर्शन श्री तारा बाबा कुटिया के, जहाँ के विद्यार्थी देश और दुनिया में सेवाएं प्रदान कर रहे हैं, ऐसा स्थान चौधरी देवीलाल विश्वविद्यालय, जहाँ पर स्टार्टर ऑफ सिखिज्म आए श्री गुरु नानक देव जी महाराज 40 दिन रहे, और ऐसा ऐतिहासिक स्थान, हिस्टोरिकल प्लेस जो दुनिया में यूनिक है, वो इस सिरसा की धरती के ऊपर दर्शन करने के लिए देश और दुनिया से लोग आतुर रहते हैं। और जहाँ पर आए 1948 में शाह मस्ताना जी महाराज, जिन्होंने डेरा सच्चा सौदा की स्थापना की, और जहाँ से आप ये आज का कार्यक्रम देख रहे हैं, सुन रहे हैं, ये दिव्य योग साधना मंदिर सिरसा से अद्भुत स्थान, दिल दिमाग को, शरीर को, हमारी मानसिकता को स्वस्थ रखने के लिए, हमारे आध्यात्मिक मूल्यों को, मानवीय मूल्यों को फिर से पुनर्जीवित करने के लिए हमारे महापुरुषों का, योगियों का, त्यागी, तपस्वी, ऋषि मुनियों का अद्भुत कंट्रीब्यूशन, अद्भुत योगदान इस धरती से देखने को मिलता है, जिनसे शिक्षा प्राप्त कर आज सभी विद्यार्थी, व्यवसायी, विद्वान देश और दुनिया में अपनी सेवाएं प्रदान कर रहे हैं, और अद्भुत शिक्षा प्राप्त कर विभिन्न क्षेत्रों में, देश और दुनिया में, विदेशों में, इंटरनेशनली, हार्वर्ड, ऑक्सफोर्ड, कैम्ब्रिज, एडिनबर्ग, पेंसिल्वानिया, दुनिया भर के विश्वविद्यालयों के अंदर आज सेवाएं प्रदान कर रहे हैं और शिक्षा प्राप्त कर रहे हैं। हमारे सभी विद्यार्थी विद्वान जानते हैं कि भारत ही एक ऐसी भूमि है जो अद्भुत आध्यात्मिक मूल्यों से भरी हुई है, जहाँ के मानवीय मूल्य, जहाँ के सांस्कृतिक मूल्य अपनी विशेष पहचान विश्व में बनाए हुए हैं। O dear Lord, you are mine. There are innumerable ways to attain God realization. Among all those paths, I have found a unique path which is uncommon. It is, I belong to God. You may perceive this as ordinary, but in my opinion, it is extremely unique. Each one of us is God's child. It's not a usual fact. This renders God realization. One disciple put his question, you is seeking refuge in God and chanting His name, then you ask us to regularly repeat, oh my dear Lord, I must never forget you. Now you are telling us to accept our belongingness to God. Which of these sadhanas should we follow? Then Swamiji says, follow which I am instructing you now. All sadhanas are excellent, but accepting that God is mine, this makes us close to God. The closer we are to God, better the worship becomes. One more question one disciple put in front of Swamiji. Carrying out all deeds diligently or diligently disregarding our belongingness with the material world or accepting our belongingness to God, which among us the three sadhanas is most appropriate to break away from our attachment and aversion and attain liberation. Then Swamiji answers here. Swamiji replies, accepting our belongingness to God is the foremost sadhana, because our acceptance of the belongingness to God by the virtue of God's grace, attachment, and liberation, hence we are fragments of God. By correcting this essence, everything else gets corrected. If you wish to effortlessly experience God, it is my request that you must accept I belong to God. This practice is much more powerful than Chup Sadhana. For instance, a daughter in your family once married accepts that I belong to my husband's place. Similarly, you must accept that I belong to God. This is an extremely effortless and preeminent sadhana. God has himself specified this as the ultimate untold secret. Sarva Guhatma, in the entire instruction of the Gita, the term Sarva Guhatma has been used only once. I am duly stating this with folded hands that in my opinion this is the foremost sadhana. I feel so in my heart that if we accept that God belongs to us, then our task will be quickly done. God is mine. If this is accepted, then a whole lot of our work is done. We have already come quite close to God. All that you wish to depart from would be achieved by God's grace, God's strength only. In Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga, both sadhana paths and sadhya destination are distinguishable, whereas in Bhakti Yoga, God Himself is the sadhana as well as the sadhya. That's why the path of Bhakti Yoga is comparatively brisker to treat. Everybody is not aware of this fact. That's why I keep on emphasizing that you must accept your belongingness to God. God is our Father. Each one of us is His beloved son and daughter. Accept this and consider most of your work completed. It is better than God's continual remembrance to accept our relationship with God that I belong to God. A relationship is ever existing. Once the relation is embraced, then God's remembrance occurs inherently and does not have to be practiced. It happens without any effort. I have a mother in this manner. We have accepted our mother. So now we are not required to remember this. Like a rich man is always proud from within that I have so much money. Similarly, you should also at all times feel proud from within that I belong to God. However you are, you must never disregard the fact that I belong to my Lord. Be it happiness or sorrow, health or sickness, profit or loss, but I belong to God, God belongs to me. Your mind must never dwindle from this principle. There is no equivalent path. no ability, no strength, nor privilege, then acceptance of our belongingness to God. In the acceptance of God's belongingness, the mind, the intellect, etc. are not required. Whereas in other sadhanas, the assistance of the mind, the intellect, etc. are required. Even with the persisting absence of certain touch in a seeker, God chooses to concentrate only on the belongingness and not the absent traits. Because our belongingness to God is absolute. He who accepts his relation with God rises above the ordinary. He becomes a Sant Mahatma. He attains serenity and eternal joy. He becomes carefree of everything else. So accept that God belongs to you and relax. I belong to God, never forget this, and you will certainly experience God. You will be naturally introduced to Satsang and Sant Mahatmas. The most exceptional thing is an eternal relationship with God. With the virtue of the acceptance of the relationship, there is rapid augmentation, chanting of God's name, meditation, kirtan, etc. are not perpetual. And there is always some interference, whereas there is no interference in the relationship with God. For example, by sleeping, the marital relationship doesn't vanish. Similarly, in forgetfulness or sleep, our relationship with God doesn't vanish. It is perpetual and ever existing. There is exhaustion in performing, chanting, etc. But the relationship is never tiring. This relationship is immediate and eternal. Like marriage breaks only if you break. Marriage breaks only if you break it. If you accept that God belongs to me, then not even God can break this. The jiva or the embodied soul is a fragment of God. Therefore, if he connects with God by any means, he is certainly liberated. Relationship with God invariably leads to supreme welfare. Those who took God by enmity, for example, Kansha or Shishupala, etc. were liberated, both utterly who failed to establish any relation with not liberated. If someone expresses that God is mine, it is extremely pleases the Lord in reality, except for God, there is no one whom we can call ours. Due to your materialistic tendencies, you might become ignorant of God but God never forgets you. One more question is there regarding it. One disciple put this question: can God be realized even on persistence? Then Swamiji answers, Swamiji replies here, yes, God of worldly desires, and the desires will not persist once God is realized. The body, and who will rest that God? This single blunder encompasses every other mistake. In mathematics, on omission of even a single step or a digit, everything becomes incorrect and no mark is awarded. That's why you must at least accept I belong to God and God is mine. To eternally reveal the Lord, it is a must to embrace the fact that God is mine. The mother is mine similarly. God is mine. The sentiment of belongingness towards God is the mantra for eternal love. It reveals the presence of God. You must invoke this feeling from within that why is my mother not taking me in her lap? You must firmly believe God belongs to you. You must firmly believe God belongs to you. This will have an immense outcome and your existence will prove victorious. My heart will be extremely delighted if you do so, and you will also be happy. You will be blissful. You will be blessed. You will be blissful. This acceptance is pure profit. This wisdom is not ordinary. It is the conclusive essence of the Vedas, Gita and Ramayana. Even if you do not believe that truth will remain absolute, it can never be a lie. You just have to embrace it from your end. Then, even if a void persists, it will. But you must never disregard this. Once accepted, keep on repeating, I belong to God. This will naturally make you pristine and pure. Is God feebler than a philosopher's stone, which transformed metal into pure gold? The purity which is attained by acknowledging the relationship with God, the benefit which is not obtained even after years and years of satsang, will be achieved in a single day by accepting one association. the lesson when it is properly of the limitless experienced and understood. Actions by any of the three bodies, introspection and trance means samadhi, even they are not ours nor of any use to us. Only after the departure from our assumed relation with actions, introspection and trance, what is achieved? What is achieved that quint essence only is ours and for us. We are fragments of God only till the time a human being has assumed that the body and the word are his and exist for him. Till then he will listen, learn, orate and lecture, but will not adequately understand the quintessence. The endorsement of a seeker will not be substantial until the relationship with God is acknowledged. Whereas the progress would be effortlessly humongous. If it is acknowledged, I belong to God, accept this from within, and your spiritual standing will transform. Furthermore, there will be a comprehensive change in you. You will attain peace, doubts will be clear, and confusions will dissolve. O dear Lord, I belong to you. Accept this much from within, and all your worldly affinities will loosen by themselves. You will not have to struggle to loosen those earthly ties. Recently, this thought has been ruminating with me a lot to embrace our rational relationship with God. It has been but I belong to God. This is not a fact to ponder upon, but rather should be acknowledged. 2 plus 2 is 4 only. What is in it to ponder? If the mind is free of desires, attachment, aversion, but without any sentiment of belongingness towards God, then liberation will be attained, but God will not be experienced. Whereas there is desire, attachment, aversion in the mind, but the feeling of belongingness towards God is present, then God will be experienced. It means that impeccability is related to liberation, but belongingness is related to God. Sugriva was desirous, but he accepted that God belongs to him. The sentiment of belongingness is the most beloved to God. राम ही केवल प्रेम प्यारा The relationship of belongingness with God is an essential cause in awakening eternal law. God is neither a man, not a woman, nor a neutral, but still He is everything. That's why you can accept Him as a father or a mother. Whatever relationship you want to embrace with God, God is ready to accept it. By accepting the relationship, the sentiment of belongingness develops. The sooner God is attained by belongingness cannot be attained through exercise. The close relationship that your son has with you, a similar relationship a servant does not have. A servant is related to work and profession, but a son is not related by work and profession. When the servant works well, you get satisfied. If you perform activities, then you become a servant. But if you establish belongingness with God, then you become a son. You must try and remember that we are a fragment of God, whom no one can be equivalent to. Then, how can anyone be greater than Him? So you must not get afraid of material illusions. We belong to God by remembering we are not an orphan, we have a Lord. Remember this. Just like a mother's milk is for us. Being a fragment of God, we are not feeble because however we belong to God is a useless son and a son. Nothing except God is mine except this, and you will be greatly benefited. There is nothing more joyous and blissful than this. This is the essence. This is the essence of all Shastras and teachings of all Sant Mahatmas. Chanting the Lord's name, bhajan, kirtan, etc. are not required. You may or may not have control over the mind, but at least accept this much that there is nothing else except God which belongs to us. How is the Lord? We are not interested in that. However, He is ours. That Paramatma is our Father, then for what should we worry? If you accept that God is mine, I belong to God, then there will be a tremendous transformation. If you will become carefree and fearless. Accept that God belongs to you and all your work is done. Not even a fraction of a task will be left for you to do. Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, meditative yoga, bhakti yoga, etc. Nothing will be left. Nothing will be left. The striver or sadhaka will become complete with all objectives achieved. With all objectives achieved. All knowledge earned and all desires fulfilled. He who is guarding, he who is guardian of all countless cosmos, that God is mine. If this is accepted, then what else is left? And how is it left? The essence of love is belongingness. For those who are dear to us, we naturally tend to remember them. We remember our wife, son, and daughter because we love them. We have accepted our belongingness to them. If you want to love God, accept that He belongs to you, then you will naturally remember Him without any effort. Whatever you start liking, the mind automatically goes towards it. The power that lies within this is not there in renunciation and austerities. Each and every soul is a soul of God. soul is a child of God. 8.4 million forms of bodies and other bodily forms such as deities, fiends, demons, ghosts, ghouls are also God's children. If you just accept that we are God's child, then what stops you? Once you accept it, then most of your work is done. The state that is not achieved even after years of sadhana will be achieved, will be attained just by accepting this. Just by accepting this. Just by accepting we belong to God, we have been blessed with this incredible truth. Now, what else do we require? If we just don't forget our belongingness to God, then everything will become alright. We will experience we wouldn't be required to perform sadhana. It will happen naturally. We belong to God. If we remember this truth, then impurities will not come close. They will run away. But if we forget this, then you will get surrounded by impurities. We belong to God by accepting this. All of you can become a saint. Wherever you are, no one can interrupt you from this. Now we belong to God to accept so and immediately become carefree, fearless, calm and worryless. For instance, a son naturally without even any education has complete ownership over his father's property. Similarly, because your belongingness to God, you will naturally inherit properties of God. When you will look at Mahabharata, we notice that the Lord presented the Pandavas with both favorable and unfavorable of the Pandavas, that they never disrespected the Lord. Among the Pandavas, Bhimasen had a big mouth, but even he never spoke against the leaders. Whereas Duryodhana never developed any admiration for the Lord. He considered the Lord a clever and shrewd man. The Pandavas were incredible in the fact that even when conditions moved against their will, they still considered that the Lord belonged to them. Similarly, in situations happening against our will, we should still see that the Lord belongs to us. Numerous things are told concerning God, but those who wish to attain liberation should not dwell on how is God, how not is He. The truth that delivers liberation is there is a God, and however He is us. The foremost thing is we have a Lord. We are not orphans. That this truth should be firmly accepted. The most promising technique to experience God realization is I belong to God. Mind, intellect belongs to nature. Therefore, if the mind intellect is unsettled, then that's nature's problem as I belong to God, as God is immortal. So I am also immortal. Since God never dies, then how can I die? That's why the sons have spoken. I belong to God, God belongs to me. This truth is greater than chanting the Lord's name or God's remembrance. This is true devotion. In reality only, he is devotee who belongs to God. He who belongs to God is not an ordinary person. A material person is ordinary. Objects and actions are related to this. equals, we are in no way related to them. While performing any action, remember that I belong to God, then in what way should I perform this duty? Intuition will naturally emerge within your mind if you will love the Lord with an innocent heart. Then in what way you should be devoted? This will naturally occur within your mind. God is mind. This is the genesis for love. Love doesn't arise from renunciation, austerities, etc., but from belongingness towards the Lord. This truth is profound. After many years of delivering discourses, I became aware of this truth. Whatever belongs to us naturally becomes dear to us. We belong to God. God belongs to us. This is no ordinary truth. Such devotion is of high status. There is no sadhana equivalent to it. We belong to God. God belongs to us. We have become aware of this. Now, why will we talk another words? Most conclusive and essence of all is the fact that only God is ours. Except Him, no one else is ours. God is ever present with us. Except Him, no one else stays with us forever. If you accept this truth, then it is greatly benefiting. What comes and goes never belongs to us. But God is always present with us. He never departs. This is the essence of all these Shastras, Puranas and Vedas. So but in your heart, don't consider anyone yours. Within your heart, consider only God is yours. Then one day you will ourselves, only God is ours. You may consider God as Saguna Nirguna, but He is ours. What I have told you is the essence, which is not heard everywhere. If you say in front of Yamraja the deity of that, also that I belong to God, then even Yamraja will shiver. If you accept your relationship with God, then purify and piousness will naturally come to you. We belong to God. God belongs to us. By merely uttering this, you will become pure naturally. We might be a disobedient child, but even then we belong to God. We just have to eradicate our disobedience. Sadhana that happens by the virtue of the body, that sadhana also is not valuable. From within God is mind. The value that this has is not the chanting, etc., performed by the body. A chaste wife doesn't say her husband's name, but does that diminish her love for her husband? Among hundreds of men, she finds only her husband as hers. Being a fragment of God, you are one with the Lord. The body is one with the material world. If the body doesn't appear as ours, then Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga all three will become effortless. Even after these many years of satsang, if we don't accept that the body belongs to the world and we belong to God, then what have we done? High talks like a pandit won't suffice. It is profound truth that till God is not realized, until then developing a relationship with anyone is dangerous. When you haven't become free from existing relationships, why do you dwell any new relationship? All relationships have already become tough for you to break. Then what will your condition be if you develop new relationships? It will be an utter disaster. Formulating a relationship with anyone is the cause for downfall. Jadbharta developed a relationship with the deer, so he had to take a deer form. The word Sambandha relationship only means bondage in an excellent manner or in a great way. Formulation of a new relationship is a new danger. A man asked another, if I hold the tail of this mare, then what will you give me? The other replied that the mare herself will give it to you. She will kick you so hard that you will die. It is required that he must not develop a relationship with anyone. Whatever relationships exist, they are also not broken. Then why formulate new ones? A relationship with the material world is the obstacle. This truth is extremely rare. Keep your relationship only with God. Whose fragment you are, you accept this or not, acknowledge this or not, or forget this altogether, even then your relationship with God will never break. If you accept your relationship with God, your sorrows will disappear. Whatever study I have done, the books I have gone through, and after pondering, it is the foremost truth that we belong to God. Accept this fact for eternity that I am not without. What I find most also what is foremost in the view of the Vedas, Puranas, Shastras, and against them. An error might occur, but don't focus on that. The fact that is special for us, friendly for us, individual for us, personal for us, profound for us, respectful for us, and beneficial for us is that our relationship is with the Lord, we belong to God. There is nothing as remarkable as this truth. Even the Lord had stated that every soul is my fragment only. It is a request. You must accept this truth and your improvement will happen automatically. That we belong to God. But I belong to God, this is the. You may say that Swamiji keeps on repeating the same thing that we belong to God. But even after repeated emphasis, if you don't accept, then how will you accept by stating it just once? So don't get fed up. Accept, reside in this world with immense pleasure, but God is mine. Do not forget this. Everything will then become alright. Renunciation, disinterest, etc., everything will happen by itself. An easy way to awaken devotion is to consider God as yours. We see in the material world as well that whom a man considers as his own appears dear to him. This is the essence. Every other point comes under this. Accepting God as art is a liberating truth. By merely considering the Lord as us, the Lord gets pleased. Therefore you just accept God as your mother, father, brother, husband, son, friend, master, disciple, etc. Rama is my mother and Rama is my father. Rama is my Lord and Rama is my friend. Oh, the compassionate Rama is all in all. I do not know any other except him. Indeed, I do not know any other. I belong to God. By holding this sentiment, your ego will become connected to God, then devotion will become easy and supreme. Without altering the ego, devotion doesn't become great. This is the principle. If you become God's, then the realization of God becomes effortless. Otherwise, God realization will be difficult. Amongst all the difficulties faced in God realization, this is the foremost. This is the foremost. In this material world, everyone loves just ostentatious, but not genuinely. God is ours in reality. The dearer the Lord is to us, no one is as dear as Him. The body appears good, but even that is not ours. I have studied books, I have also been in the company of saints wherever I got to hear good facts. I have been there as well. After visualizing many facts, after reading, after listening, after understanding, and after complaining, after coming very dear to us as God is. I belong to God. This truth is the essence of all truths. To attain God and His love, belongingness is the main factor and not austerity, charity, pilgrimage, fasting, etc. If you perform hundreds of austerities, wars, pilgrims, fasts, etc., even then nothing can be equivalent to belongingness with God. Belongingness with God is greater than chanting meditation as well. Chanting of God's name, contemplation of God, meditation of God, trance in God. Greater than all of these is I belong to God. God belongs to me. The more firmly you trust this, the better your job will become. God is almighty. He can grant everything. He can do anything. So He is mine. He will help me. He will protect me. This desire sentiment must not be there. God is mine. That's it. Don't demand anything from Him. Even if He graces by His appearance or not, that's His wish. Where is God? How is He? What does He do? What He doesn't do? These things are not that much required than belongingness. If He graces by His appearance, He is mine. If He doesn't grace by His appearance, He is mine. If He provides joy, He is mine. If He provides grief, He is mine. If He posts me, God is mine. Remember this one too. Fix this in your mind. Live every moment belonging to God. There are interruptions in chanting meditation, but there are no interruptions in belongingness. For instance, upon rising the sun doesn't have to illuminate. The illumination happens by itself. Similarly, upon becoming God's one, doesn't have to work for the betterment. The betterment happens itself by God's grace. I belong to God, and and as this sentiment grows firm, likewise remarkability will come within you, and an exceptional joy will be there. The distance from God, the difference from God, and the distinction from God will dissolve. By not accepting God as ours, various and many new troubles will arise. And by accepting God as ours, all troubles will dissolve. The entirety of the embodied souls are fragments of God. Therefore, this belief must be there within each one of us that we are God's beloved son, daughter. If you will accept yourself as God's fragment, then even without saying, listening, good qualities and virtuousness, righteousness will themselves come within you. Such qualities will appear within you. You only will get surprised, but this will happen by accepting your relationship with God. We belong to God. This is the essence of all truths. You may be a householder or renounced. If you accept God as yours, then you will become preeminent. Mirabai accepted God as हर्ष मेरे तो गिरधर गोपाल दूसरों ना कोई. Mirabai neither gave birth to any son nor made any disciple. Still, even saints uttered her name with the utmost respect. When this one objective will dwell, that I belong to God and I will proceed towards God, then Yamarada will become scared of you. Mighty, mighty flowers will be scared of you. Flowers will dissolve by themselves only. No one will be able to conquer you. God will protect you until you have one objective decided. Till then, all flowers will plunder you, trouble you. When a human takes refuge in a king, then thieves, marauders start to become scared of him. You take refuge in God and when all flowers will be scared of you. You will obtain the strength to conquer lust, anger, etc. Whatever relation with God seems appropriate to you, accept that and become carefree. You formulate a relationship with God. This is an eminent strong This is an eminent strategy to develop love. Until you formulate a relationship with God, till then love will not arise. Accept God as yours and everything will become alright. Righteous thoughts will emerge themselves and those thoughts will be followed as well. Your body is a son of your mother, father, but yourself is a son of God. We belong to God. If you accept this truth, then your satsang is successful. Like a rich man, the son has pride within him. A king's son has pride within him. Similarly, you should be proud that I am God's son. And easy and simple fact, God is mine. If God is called mine in such a way, then it impacts the Lord immensely. As strangers, estranged for countless births, and after serving and suffering in 84 lakh bodily forms, if the embodied soul utters, O Lord, I am yours, O dear Lord, you are mine, then it satisfies God immensely. God will be utterly pleased, as if God has found something that belonged to Him but was lost from Him. Those who tread on the might of their sadhana, they are mere laborers. A mother never weighs the activities of her child, that if he has worked this much, then I will feed him this much. I will love him this much. Waiting of activities is for a servant, that whatever work he has done, he will be paid accordingly. People often require riches, estates, splendor, etc. But God doesn't require anything. Thus, those who take refuge in their ability and worship perform sadhana, ponder and contemplate, they all toil as laborers. Therefore, instead of depending on the might of your toiling, you must depend on the strength of belongingness to God. A wife is chaste from the self, not by consciousness. She doesn't become chaste by purifying her inner consciousness or antakarana. Does marriage happen after the purification of the inner consciousness? This is an acceptance of the self. Acceptance has no connection with the pureness, impureness of the inner consciousness. Acceptance is of the self, not of the consciousness. If the self accepts God as his own, then what role will inner consciousness play? Will you accept God as yours? I belong to God. I belong to the Word. There is a great downfall in this. I belong to God, there is a great uprise in this. By having belongingness with God, you don't have to purposely leave the bodily practices, but it is left naturally. I am the body. If you accept so, then all flowers will come, but I belong to God. God is mine. All you accept so, then none of the flowers will come near you. If a striver performs all worldly obligations by believing himself as God, then his worldly activities become all right, and so will the activities for God. But if he performs all worldly obligations by believing himself as belonging to the world, then his worldly activities will not be all right and activities for God. God is ours, but not for our use. Instead, we are for His use. It means that we should not take anything from the Lord. Instead, we have to give ourselves to Him. And even in the most difficult of circumstances, we have to consider it as a belonging, as a blessing sent by the Lord, and remain delighted. Listening, contemplating, contemplation, profound meditation, restriction of the eyes, nose, ears are not required. The fact is extremely simple. Gather Gopal is mine and nobody else. Nobody is ours except God. If it doesn't suit you, even then accept it. This fact is true. Do not consider this to be difficult. The embodied soul is a fragment of God. There is nothing as great as this fact. I express. I express to you with folded hands that you must give importance to the fact that I belong to God. Thank you, all my brothers and sisters. I once again thanks all of you. Dhanyavad, dhanyavad. Thank you.